So today I want to bring you something from the Deutsche Welle. So that's a typically English speaking news source in Germany. They also publish things in German. I could have done this in German, but I figured most of my audience probably wouldn't appreciate it, partly because of my pronunciation of German, which is so so, and partly because, well, most of my audience wouldn't understand. But today we want to talk about really what's becoming a big issue. There's two really big problems. Okay, there's many big problems, but two that come to my mind literally as I'm sitting here looking at the camera. One of them in Germany is that we're not having babies anymore, and after a few generations, we're not going to have enough people to pay for the social system that works actually pretty well here in Germany. Again, that's something we talked about on the show, that the social system actually that Americans can't really understand. It's not capitalistic, it's more social. It's not socialism. It's kind of a mix, honestly, but you do have, taxes paying for education and healthcare, et cetera. Um, I think they're great. I've lived here now for 8 years, and they're awesome. Um, Living in Germany has many benefits. It has some not. Obviously, you can't homeschool. The government is really in your face kind of all the time, but the social systems are fantastic, and I'm sorry if you haven't experienced them, you can't really comment on them. So I know many people in the US is like, "Yeah, they're so." No, they're awesome. Just imagine that you pay taxes and you go and have a birth in a hospital and it's free. It's good. That's good. That's a good thing, and it's practically free to go and get an education. These are good things. I mean, at university. So some things work well, but eventually, if you stop having babies, well, you're going to have a problem. And there's another problem aside from that: not having enough babies, having too many old people, having too many immigrants come in who don't even work, and we have to support them. There's another problem. That problem being that too many people are getting too high of an education. So you have people going and becoming engineers or getting a master's degree in French literary sources, whatever. You guys know what I mean. Liberal arts type stuff. And Germans are just as bad at it as Americans, maybe worse. Now, in America, it's worse because you get, hundreds of $1,000s in debt, or 100,000, 80,000, whatever it is in debt. Germany, that is not the problem, but it's still a problem that it leaves a huge gap, where we cannot fill the void for people who need to do skilled labor. And today we want to talk about from Deutsche Welle. It is actually considering farming. Now, this article is kind of funny, but I think it does touch on an interesting point that just the people delivering it have certain agendas, which I disagree with. But the headline: Germany, why are young people shunning farming? The subheadline: as farmers age, a critical question looms over German farms: who will grow the food? While seasoned farmers face retirement, the youth is turning away from agriculture, citing bad wages and a lack of work life balance. Now, I live here, and I think it's the same problem in America: the lack of work life balance. Now, anyone who is probably my age and older knows exactly what that line means: a lack of work life balance. In other words, I don't want to work. I don't want to work hard. I don't want my back to hurt. I don't want to have to do anything physical. I want to just be given everything on a platter and have everything easy and sit in an office, or, I want to be one of these Instagram, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Famous people who just, I record videos and I make $1 million because I, you know, have a million followers. That's what the next generations kind of think. Not everyone, of course, this is generalizing, but it's a problem that we cannot get enough people to literally grow our food. And that's a problem. That's a big problem, and it's a problem that we're not talking about enough. Now they go and talking about this lady she's from North Rhine-Westphalia. She's growing, she's a farmer, organic. It's awesome. She says, I know I'm not getting any younger. I'm nearing retirement age. And question I keep asking myself is, who am I going to leave this farm to? Her two children have pursued other careers to their own liking. They don't say what. It's probably French poetry from the 1790s. Yeah, I know I sound kind of harsh there, but guys, it's true. These people go and take just not everyone, of course, but many people take very, very ridiculously stupid degrees. Work-life balance and land prices. German agriculture, this is from Deutsche Welle, contributes less than 1% to the country's gross domestic product, which is shocking to me, and is less important to the economy than in neighboring France and Poland. I've driven through the middle of France, and it is seriously all farms and hot and not very nice. It's like Iowa. Like, I always think of France as Paris or Lourdes or the famous coast along the sea. But no, most of it is actually farmland that looks just a lot like Nebraska and Iowa, which is great. I have no problem with that. I don't mean that as a insult. It's just interesting. I never considered that. And Netherlands is even more so. Poland as well. Ukraine as well. Reinhard Jung, a policy advisor at Freie Bauern, Free Farmers, a farmers lobby group, says the German farming sector has come under additional pressure from another corner in recent years. That is a demographic change. The shortage of skilled workers is an issue in all sectors of the German economy, he told Deutsche Welle, with agriculture being especially disadvantaged in the nationwide race for young people. As young people today have a desire for good work life balance, quote unquote, which means they don't want to work anymore. Says Jung, the long hours of hard work and no holidays put in by older generations of farmers is not an option for the young. Moreover, young farmers whose families don't own farms here find it increasingly difficult to purchase or even lease farming land due to high prices. Yeah, that's true. That have steeply gone up in the past decade. Land speculation in the wake of the 2009 financial crisis and the heightened interest of multinational food concerns in arable land are preventing prices from falling again. That is all actually true. The buying even just a house or land here is just absolutely insane. It is the bubble that I think again is that's kind of worldwide, which eventually will pop probably whenever we have a market crash, which is kind of inevitable. It's going to happen. Um, but I do think it's again interesting when you see again you're looking at they're saying it's a good work life balance, and I think that it really does mostly mean people just don't want to work. I see that where I live that they can't hire people for they literally had to shut down a flower shop. I live in a tiny little town, and they had a flower shop. Okay, they sold flowers and plants. It's small, not I mean not big, little building that sold nice flowers, and it was a nice little company, and they had to shut down because they couldn't find enough people to work. And this was partly due to COVID, during COVID. But I see it here. I work at a grocery store as a manager, and they can't hire anyone. They can't find anyone who wants to work, even from Poland or Ukraine. No one wants to work. Part of it is because the governments are providing communistic support for people who don't have jobs. Now, I think that having support for people who are unemployed can be good, but it needs to be fair. It needs to be for people who actually are looking for work, who have worked for many years and are just, had bad luck or whatever. I think that there is some good in that. But when you just start giving everyone just this, basic income, then of course no one's going to work. Why would you work when you make more money not working? And that is actually the case sometimes. I know that for a fact. Or you make more money when you work as a mini job. So you work, I don't know, 10 hours a week because of the tax system, etc. That's a fact. I know that for sure here in Germany, probably the same in the US. So the government is pretty much giving you reasons to not work. Tell me if that makes any sense. Now, this article continues with, of course, they have to go on to climate change. Now, I'm not even going to give them the benefit of reading that because it's stupid. And even if climate change is happening, which I think is possible, the climate does change. It has since the beginning of time, based on solar flares or just based on I don't know events around the world. It's just how it works. It does not mean that it is based on what people are doing. I don't think it does at all, actually. Um, just moving on, a young German told me that all we know about the profession is that it's uncertain and sounds like a lot of work. Quote unquote, sounds like a lot of work. Hmm. Quote, I'd say it sounds like I may need to leave the city and go back to the rural areas. It also needs a lot of resilience and patience because of the uncertainty that the farm will produce anything. Another young woman told me that in a developed country, a desire for work life balance is justified. Besides, we are way past the Industrial Revolution, so I don't think I have ever considered agriculture as a career. Past the Industrial Revolution? Do these people understand that you still need farmers to grow food? Like almost all the food we have? Unless they're printing it from some, you know, 3D printer these days, which that sounds great. Yeah. No. Anyway, they just kind of end saying this farmer, she wants to kind of end, her dream is to walk the land she proudly owns, but blah 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 blah. And again, there are several points I guess I want to make here, and there are issues for sure, all through Europe, all probably through the world. People don't want to work. That's a big one, and it's hard to buy land, hard to buy homes. If I could go buy a farm right now, sign me up. I've said many times on this podcast that I think God made us to be farmers. We are meant to be outside. We are meant to grow, to build, to produce. I'm a big fan of that. I've had some training in it, not a lot. Grew up on a very small farm, worked at a golf course. So I worked on a tractor, etc. I think I could do it. I think I could do it. And it's something now I'm like, hey, maybe we need to go see if there's a farm for sale and, go there. Right now we have a guest house where we host people, and I think that's good too. It's a nice company. It's nice that I can stay at home half the time and work at home basically. It's a big advantage. But just imagine being a farmer. Now I do think it does have disadvantages that they say you have to work on holidays and Sundays. I know a farmer in Iowa who does not ever work on Sundays and holidays. And he just says that's just not what he's going to do. Even if they say you have to do it because the crops are in, the rain is coming, etc., just doesn't do it. And from what I've heard, again, this is secondhand, but from a priest, so I think it's pretty fair to say it's true that even though he's done that, and I'm sure he's had some losses, in general, he's had major successes because he's put God first. He's put God's laws first. He said, nope, Sunday's off. I'll do it Monday morning. If I got to get up at 1 a.m. on Monday, then I'll get up at 1 a.m. And I can tell you, I've done this work a little bit, not on a farm, but outside on a tractor. It's one of the most rewarding things you can do. You're in God's country, you're in the open air, the sun, even the rain. I don't think people understand that. I think we all want to be podcasters, sports journalists. But really, when you've done it and you've worked really hard for a day, and you've made hay or you've cut grass, or you've built something or you've planted and you've seen the fruits of your labors, you've seen the trees harvested. I think that's what we were made for here. Obviously, we were made to go to heaven. We're made to honor God. But in terms of careers and jobs, we need more farmers. We need more workers, skilled workers, people who go and say, I don't need a university education. I'm going to go learn how to weld. I have a brother in law who's a welder. My brother's an electrician. Best friend is an electrician. Be able to work hard. And I mean, look at the example that we always try to go to when we're talking about manliness, right? And that's Saint Joseph and Christ Himself. For goodness' sake, they were carpenters. They built things with wood in Jerusalem, which had almost no wood. They were manly men. They worked with their hands. They used the things that God gave us to to build, to make, to create. If anyone has the opportunity to work on a farm, to be on a farm, to own a farm, man, I can't highly recommend it enough. Is it perfect? No. Does it have its issues? Absolutely. Does it have its stresses and its risks? For sure. But I truly believe it's what we're meant to do. And I hope that those in Germany, Poland, Netherlands, France, America figure that out. Because if not,